Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we got another live stream, and I'm going to be coming regular with the live streams. I'm going to double down on live streams because a lot of people are home. They're wondering, they're wishing, they're hoping. Not just about breakups right now. Shit's getting heavy, right? So this is actually a really interesting topic. And it was a conversation I had with a couple friends yesterday. One friend is single, and we were talking about dating and different things. And this came up, and I just wonder because so many people bitch and complain about dating apps. And to me, a dating app, you just got to know what you're getting into. They work, they can work, they work in different ways. There's a variety of different dating apps. And so, what's the alternative to a dating app would be the question. What's up, Luna Martinez? So for starters, anyone that's coming to this live stream after it's been posted, write down what's the alternative to some dating apps. What have you done that works for you when you're in the dating game and when you're single again? Because a lot of times we talk about breakups, we talk about the heart pain, the soul stains, the getting back your ex, the no contact part, but let's just talk about fucking dating, because at some point that is the elephant in the room. That is where you are going to have to, at some point, get in touch with the fact that you're single again and to embrace it. And you want to be at a point where you start studying what it is to be single again. And so a lot of times I suggest to people, put my air conditioning on. What's up, Catherine? How are you? Clubs, gyms, parties. Yeah. And the reason I'm talking about this and any, specific ideas, Rob, I decided to do this topic because I thought it was a little more interesting than what we talked about yesterday. But Rob would probably have a take on cold approaches because your buddy Corey Wayne he talks about cold approaching, I think, quite a bit. And so in this conversation yesterday, which would have been really good to get on a podcast, because it was just an open conversation. Like I said, a friend of mine, he's single. He's 29 years old. The other woman was 23 years old, attractive woman. And so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to them. I'm good, Catherine. Thank you. I'm sitting there and I'm talking to them. And I just spoke out loud. I said, I've never been someone that's big on cold approaches. And it's not that I'm against them. It's just not my style, because I'm pretty much a highly social person as it is. And so I make conversation quite easily relative to what or where I'm at. For example, if I'm at a department store and a woman helps me out with clothing or something like that, I'll have a conversation with them. I'll ask them where they're from or how long they work there. I think I got that from working in retail jobs where I had to meet and greet a lot of people. Now, to me, a cold approach is different. Good point, Rob. I like a cold approach is good when it's a situation you feel may not present itself. Well put, because I didn't think of it that way. Because the part that people don't like about a cold approach is a guy doesn't want to seem like a creep. And a cold approach has a high propensity to get rejected, right? And rejected to your face. At that point, it's a cold approach or nothing. Good point. Good point. I've never thought of it that way, but you're right. Because, opportunities present themselves. You're attracted to a woman. I would hope that if you're going to do a cold approach, you made some kind of eye contact, at least some kind of fleeting eye contact. Where eye contact that's good, it's distinct, right? Someone looks at you. The way we communicate body language, but eye contact wide, that's intricate. And if you're a confident individual, you make good eye contact with women all the time, probably. And there's times in my life where I've had in my 20s where you're maybe a little bit low on self-esteem or something at this point, and someone's checking you out and you're like, God, she's staring. What is she looking at? That usually means that you're not in a place to approach someone cold. So getting back to this, so this conversation that we had that led to me thinking about this topic was I blurted out I said, you know what? In the 21st century, in the year 2020, I don't think a lot of people do cold approaches. I don't think a lot of men do cold approach. Do women do cold approaches, Sabina, Catherine? I think women would say, oh, hell no, I'm not going to just, but I think women do, right? And just to clarify or classify, a cold approach to me is going up to someone you don't know in an environment you actually don't know that well and basically saying, hey, what's your name? I mean, what else is it, right? And what would be really interesting, Sabina and Catherine, because I'm sure, first of all, we got 7 on deck. Welcome, Luna, Rob. As a male or as a woman, please share with me, and put this in the comments down below if you watch this live stream later on, because I'm curious. When have you had someone cold approach you, and what's the best story? Because I'm going to share a story that this individual shared yesterday that I thought was pretty funny. And so getting back to this conversation we had, like I said, I just blurted out without thinking, because this is projection 101, because I'm not a big person on cold approach. I agree with Rob. You only have one opportunity, so you got to go for it. Yeah. I've repeatedly, in most cases, met women through work or when I was in university, or mutual friends. Okay. I should say the gym. One time the gym. Yeah. And when I say one time, I mean a girlfriend type. I don't consider myself a pickup artist. So don't have a problem with people like that, but that's just not my lane per se. That being said, there is an art to cold approach, I believe. And some people can be doing it not knowing they do it, right? So like I said yesterday in the conversation, I said, look, no one does cold approaches anymore because of dating apps. And my buddy was like, yeah, that's true. I'm like, do you do a cold approach? And he's like, no. And he's on a dating app currently. So here's the funny thing. Then the 23-year-old attractive woman that was in the conversation says, I said, have you been cold approached at all? And she starts giggling. And I said, what? And she's all, well, this week, twice. And here I am saying, like, no one does it anymore. And she said she was at a convenience store, right? We'll just call it that, small store. And she said that she was buying water and talking to her friends. And the guy was like, let me buy that water for you. What a weak line, right? And asked her name and told her he liked her voice and all that, like a cold approach in a convenience store. And then she said she was at a beach with friends for a small get together and party. And some guy came up randomly to their group. It came specifically to her, asked her a couple of questions like, what's her name? Gave her a couple of compliments, told her she was beautiful, and then went for her, I believe it was WhatsApp or one of those things. And she said no, she declined it. And she's laughing about it, right? She's laughing about it. And here I am sitting there going, oh yeah, no one does cold approach. No, I don't do cold approach. That being said, if I'm in a restaurant, cafe, store, hotel, anyone that I'm in contact with, I make small talk. I just don't make small talk with the objective, hey, let me get your number. Right? And then if I make small talk with that individual and I was single and I was interested, I would look at it as, oh, potentially she maybe likes me and maybe I like her. But a cold approach to me, you're going dead red, you're going all in, and you're going, what's your name? I'd like to get your number. And I would just like to know, has anyone taken that approach and it's worked? Some of you women out there, what kind of cold approaches have you seen that are kind of funny? Like I said, the one that this girl told me yesterday where the guy offered to buy her water. And she's like, no, I can pay for my own water. I was just like, what the fuck? So let me get into the comments here. How's everyone doing? Hey, Coach Mac, what's up, Luna? Clubs, gyms, parties. That kind of sews it up, right? Arriving, I go to coffee shops and up and getting along with the employees there. Within time, I bond so well with the workers there to the point where we exchange social media and end up hanging out within time. Cool. Never thought of it that way. I guess a coffee shop can be a hotbed. No pun intended. Cold approach is good when it's a situation you may feel is not present itself again. I think that's a great way to put it, Rob. Yeah, the guy that would make the other girl jealous. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped here by accident, buddy. I've always been an extrovert. I can't see myself being dry in any conversation. Good for you. That's why you come to this channel, buddy. At this point, it's the cold approach or nothing. I think if you see someone you are really into, take a chance. It's bold, and bold is attractive. Good point. Good point. I will say this. I do believe that what you say in the cold approach counts. And the idea that you just go up to a woman and say she's beautiful if she's beautiful is stating the obvious and something that she's heard 1,000 times. So creative and being clever, thoughtful, or humorous would probably win the day in a good cold approach. If I force myself to do a cold approach, it kind of feels like I'm being desperate. And I think a lot of people feel that way, Alex D. I think that's not just you. That being said, Rob makes a good point. Bold is attractive. I've heard attractive women say, at least have some balls and try. I make great eye contact. I love when a woman can keep sharp eye contact as well. Good for you, Luna. It looks like you're turning the corner, buddy. You still in Vegas? What's up, Azam? Yeah, it certainly helps if the cold approach is done in smooth style so you don't seem creepy. Rob, give me an example of a smooth cold approach or one that you've done before. If you don't want to share, all good. Women do it too. Sabina, tell me. Have you done it before, and what was your approach? I would think the woman in a cold approach would be a little more stealth about the situation. Almost, I'm not going to tell you I like you. I've been cold approached by some women, but it doesn't happen a lot. Me too would be my answer. It's happened to me, but not many times. If we like them enough. So what would be a woman's cold approach, though? It wouldn't be like, oh, you're so handsome, let me get your phone number. If she perceives you as a high value, aka catch, she would cold approach you. We can all agree, though, that more men would do a cold approach than women would, right? I mean, it's probably like an 80-20. I was working at the nightclub, and a girl walks up to me after staring at me for a minute and asked me for my number. I rarely get people approaching me that way. I can admit it was very attractive. It wasn't just very attractive. It was a boost to your fucking ego is what it was, right? So did you give her your number? Were you attracted to her? Well, you just said you were. Yep, the guy that would make the other girls jealous. Yep. She earned my number. Good for you. Lost my place. I believe I've only gotten cold approached in high school, and man, it would scare the shit out of me. I was in shock. Well, if it scared you and you were in shock, you didn't believe it was possible. That comes, and this is not personal, Alex. That just means your self-esteem at that point was probably a little bit low, so it was hard for you to believe that a woman would cold approach you. That being said, I hope you're at a place now that if a woman cold approached you and you weren't interested, at the very least, you'd say, thank you. I have a theory on that. Give it to me, Rob. Peppa Pig. Hey, coach. Happy to be catching you in a live. Blue Rivers, it's always a pleasure. What's up, T-Mac? Anyone know what to do when your ex says she misses you, then says she doesn't want to get back with me? Anyone know what to do when your ex says she misses you, then says she doesn't want to get back with me? Well, someone can miss you. That's completely possible. The next could miss you and not want to get back with you. I mean, think about that for a minute. It's not twisted. It's not crazy. As Catherine said in the comments post before, they missed. What did you say before? I think you said, I love you, but I don't miss your actions. The opposite could be, I just miss you being around. She misses something about misses having someone, misses having that, but they don't necessarily want to get back together. That's actually quite possible and quite common. Should at least to learn. And I would say, Pepper Pig, you need the smoke to clear. You guys probably need time apart to appreciate each other. Should at least learn to read some signals from a lady to get some indicators of interest. My boyfriend did a cold approach me after he heard me talking about some work I do and jumped into the conversation I had with another person. Then he asked, can he talk to me alone? Then we talked over 1 hour. Dun, 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 dun. That's how it all started. If the cold approach, but I think what I think about a cold approach, and maybe I'm wrong, is like if someone goes up to you in a place, Sabina, like you guys were in a work setting or a cocktail party, like what kind of setting were you in? Because to me, it's like someone that goes up to someone in a convenience store or the mall, Disneyland, and they're just random. That's a straight cold approach. If the cold approach is done in a manner that doesn't initially present itself as a classic pickup, yet the conversation surely demonstrates the guy's alpha characteristics, you ended at a high point and exchange info and say something like, let's continue soon. However, the obvious should never be stated. Instead, comment on something that is random. Works better, I find. With that, you create rapport and establish yourself as someone of mystery yet high value. Wow, you have read your books. If you can leave that on the table, then you would greatly increase your chances on further conversation. If there's anything I missed there, let me know. No, Rob, that's textbook. Scotty Fitzgerald, I'm well. Thanks for asking. I would say you're right. And I would come back to stating the obvious, like, oh, you're so beautiful. You have beautiful eyes or something. I would say when you make a compliment to a woman, be specific, but also like you could throw a curveball and say, wow, you have really nice ears. I've done that before, actually. And then the woman's like, really? I've never heard that one before. Really? Random as hell. You really think, yeah, you got nice ears. And it's kind of a game with your, taking it seriously. I'm not highly attracted to ears per se. I would only cold approach a girl if I knew I had a chance and if it seems she never gets cold approach, so it'll be unique for her. Wow, that's a lot of background to go into a cold approach with, because a cold approach basically, you don't know. You don't have certainty. I think that one of the things we like about dating apps is at least we have some level of certainty that they're attracted to our picture, because they had to scroll through 1,000 pictures to say, yeah, swipe left, swipe right, right? And so that has some kind of value in it. Ah, cool. That's exactly, I know the photo you sent me, bro. That's exactly how I did it when I met the blonde girl, the one I showed you a photo of at the trade show. Good for you. I saw earlier that some weak beta types were trying to cold approach, pick her up. I then walked over and immediately said, these guys don't get it. They? And then I introduced myself and talked about a show. And then I ended it with and said, let's talk in a couple hours. Full disclosure, Rob, I don't know if I would have. I don't know if I would have been able to take that cold approach like that with someone I didn't know. I don't know. That's pretty clean. I would probably talk for an hour or 2 hours. I could fucking have a conversation. People have told me you're a conversationalist, man. So if I was in that position that Rob was in, I probably would talk longer than I needed to as far as the textbook cold approach goes. Make a date, hang out later on. Cold approach for him was on a public place. I didn't even know the person. I first started to talk, and then he jumped in from nowhere. Ah, that is a true cold approach. Interesting. And she was anxious to get together after for some drinks. You had a good approach, Rob. I like it. Now, the great legendary Corey Wayne, I believe Rob will be able to quote this because I like Corey Wayne, but Rob follows him much closer than I do, I believe. Says that when you go on a first date or second date, you should let the woman do a majority of the talking. Is that correct? I think that he said that in his book. I've read his book. I just didn't read it 10 or 15 times, so I don't remember everything. I don't always do that, but I liked what I saw. Besides, it was appropriate to have a long conversation while the show was going on. Everyone was busy. Yeah. Well, I'm guessing that if you were at a trade show or a show about your line of work, you guys had some common ground built in, which is nice. Obviously you had something to talk about within her line of work. To me, the cold approach at the mall or the restaurant, I mean, that's really cold. Like this girl is saying that at the convenience store, the guy comes up to her and offers to buy her water. 70 to 80% of the talking, Corey recommends. Okay, Scott. I would say that in my own life, I've gotten to become a very good listener from being a coach. I've always been good at having a good conversation, but I listen far, 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 far better. Um, and it's important. People really tell you who they are if you listen closely and intently. Um, and I think women appreciate a guy listening. I will say this. If you are a really good listener and a woman has a lot on her mind, she has a lot to talk about, there does become a point. Um, there does become a point when you want to steer maybe the conversation into where you're going to go to next. Because if you sit in the same place and talk for, well, you know what? I find that as a positive. If you talk for a long period of time, at what point are you going to make your move, I suppose? May, how are you? You got the mask on. Good for you. You're contemplating what we're talking about with that emoji? May, have you been cold approached before? What's the funniest cold approach a man has come to you with? Sabina, May. Oh, you're reading Rob's theory? Okay. Just imagine you have cold approached over 100 girls and then you finally find the one through a cold approach. Well, I mean, that'd be the same thing if you went through 100 girls on Tinder or one of these Bumble apps. Someone just told me about another app called The League that's supposed to be higher end. I don't know. I guess both of them, I've told this theory before. I'll tell it again because I think it's massively important. There was a book about creativity, and they had a ceramics teacher have the school, or I mean the class, half the class concentrated on making one masterpiece, and half the class concentrated on making as many ceramics, figurines, pots, bowls as they could in one semester. And who ended up with more masterpieces? And I asked a friend recently who's a photographer and an artist, and she was saying that she was stuck. And I said, start shipping. And she was like, what do you keep saying? I go, ship. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, with the internet now and, all these different devices, I go, just make art and ship it. What is shipping? Well, have a website, have an Instagram, have a YouTube channel. It's like, you look at my channel, I just ship everything I do. I don't edit it. I just ship, right? So that being said, what you just said about the 100 girls and then you'll meet one, I would say if I dated 100, I'd meet more than one that was special. I'd say for every 5 to 10, you're going to meet one that's pretty nice. Just steer away from the idea of meeting his soulmate. Write out, I really believe in this, and I know this has been talked about on other channels, and this isn't groundbreaking shit, okay? But it is highly important for you to consider writing out what you want in a partner. I've thought about putting a worksheet on my website or something so people could just not think too much about it, which a lot of people like to do. And what would be the questions? Looks. Yeah, that's not shallow. People care how someone looks. Looks. And you could put height, you could put weight, you could put characteristics, religion. That shit counts. Why meet someone? I've had numerous occasions where religion has paid a hard toll on a good relationship, right? Someone says, well, they're in love, they're this. Well, if someone was filtering probably to meet more people if you're highly religious and that's a big part of your life, then it's going to be really important for you to find someone that shares those beliefs. And so write out all the characteristics of what you want in a partner, and then think to yourself, where do these people hang out? What kind of groups are they in? Well, obviously, if it's a religious thing, there's church groups, there's this. If it's, I would love someone that does salsa dancing because I've always loved that since I was a kid. Well, then go to salsa dancing festivals. Go to Argentina. I don't know if Argentina is big on salsa dancing, but you know what I mean. Steering the conversation or creating a situation that introduces anticipation. Good point, buddy. Rob's well versed on this. I was reading all the theory of Rob. Rob, you're single right now? Then later you tell her that you have a cold approach to over 100 girls before including her. If you did, that would be high confidence, Alex D. And some women would find it interesting that they were the chosen one. I got flamed for commenting on another channel that masks are mostly useless. Well, supposedly they're useful for stopping the spread. People need to calm the hell down. Making magic with my luggage, whistle, whistle. Okay? Yes, that is my theory. Yes, I don't always implement. Tomorrow midday, I will drive to San Antonio to take the plane there. Good for you. San Antonio, home of the Spurs. I don't know what else. And the Alamo? No. Corey Wayne talks about a cold approach of 100 people at a mall. He theorized that anyone can be successful in at least 5% of the cases. Oh, I would hope if first of all, what's success? You gotta get clear on what success is. For one guy, it could be just getting a number. For another guy, it could be, I'd have to sleep with her. So I don't know what it would be with Corey Wayne, but I would say it would be the latter probably, which is fine. That's a lot of time and effort, though, because with a cold approach of 100 people, it's not all going to just be 5 minutes. When you live in Mystery Babylon, it's hard to meet Christians. I don't know what that means. Sorry. I can't remember any more about other cold approaches after I met him. I stopped even paying attention. Shortly after, one guy who liked me wrote a poem for me. It's online, and we've become good friends. So you just weren't attracted to the guy. It's kind of funny that attraction does count. Physical attraction counts. And I think some people will say that's beta or the guy's not too nice. But there is certain people that you're like, oh, this guy's I remember when I lived in San Diego, some girl telling me this. She was talking about one of the guys that we worked with, and she was like, she just was like, he's such a nice guy. He's this, and like, he's good looking, but he's just not attractive. Well, he just wasn't attractive to her. You know what I mean? There's an ass for every toilet seat, as my great uncles used to say. Yes, single right now. I thought you are in a semi-relationship. Good for you, Rob. You got all the tools on the tool belt to take advantage of being single. Mask useful if you are sick and coughing, but don't help protect you in the other direction. True from what I read, but I'm not analyzing this today. Since I can always learn more, I'm forever learning. Wouldn't telling her that turn her off kind of would see you as desperate? No. Different women would find it interesting that you actually had the balls to get rejected that many times, or that you were doing an experiment. So not all women would. And Alex D, I'd add to the woman that would judge you on doing something like that and give you shit is probably one you don't want to be with. I mean, wouldn't the woman be, if the woman is into you and you did something like that with good intentions to meet someone, if you did it as a pickup artist, then she probably wouldn't like it. Yes, single and ready to stay home for months. Poem. A haiku. I remember those. Really. It sucks that when you start writing down the stuff you would like in a partner, you realize that everything in the list matches your ex. Not for everyone, Alex D. Not for everyone. And I'd add, I know your situation because you've shared your story and you had a lot of issues with your ex. So there's no fucking way that the ideal partner that you would be looking for will line up exactly with your ideal partner, because let me add, your ex wasn't 100% ideal because you said that they were not as romantic as you were and they weren't available as you'd like. So there were things that you're giving her too much credit. Write out the list as if you're not thinking of her. Then think about it and be dead honest with yourself. And here's the thing. You write out the ideal partner. It doesn't mean you're going to find someone 100% the same. I know people say they have, but here's the thing. Maybe 90%, maybe 80%. But here's the other thing. There's certain things on that list of that ideal partner that are negotiable. And there's certain things on that list that are deal breakers, right? Yes, totally physical attraction counts. I wouldn't talk to him so long for the first time. It does. Absolutely, Sabina. I don't mind. Absolutely. it doesn't, looks don't matter so much. You have to be attracted to someone in some way. It doesn't necessarily mean they got to be, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe that's just a reinforced characterization of the ideals of attraction or a familiar zone you've come to accept. Yeah, Alex, what I mean by that is that if you're worried that a woman, if she found out I was with another 100 women, she'd get really upset. That's a bad frame to be in. You always want to be able to roll with the punches, improvise, be on your toes rather than sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Now, there's certain times when you're in a relationship where you're talking to someone, you need to apologize. You did something wrong. Something similar that someone just talked to me about in the live coaching. He was getting picked up from the airport in a long distance relationship. This is interesting. And he goes, I would want to be picked up at the airport from my partner. That's just what I would like. So my first question to him was, well, how far is the airport? And he started to kind of laugh. And he said, this particular area would take 3 hours in traffic. And I go, well, dude, they got to go 3 hours there and 3 hours back. See, here's where the value is when you do a live coaching. I'm able to use rational logic, reason, and good questions, and I'm able to strain out the emotional part. And he was like, yeah, you're right. And then he said, well, I went to a different airport to be closer, and I thought she'd pick me up. She got drunk, didn't pick me up, and I had to, go to the house. My next question, so she got too drunk, she couldn't drive. Number one, she's responsible because she didn't get drunk and pick you up. Number two, yeah, it hurt that she didn't pick you up, but she did pass out. Number three, my next question is, guess what? Is this a habit she had, or did she do this regularly? No, this was out of character. Okay, well then choose to forgive her as a mistake that's out of character and keep it in your back pocket for later. If she does it again, then it becomes a habit. But I'll tell you the truth. Some people go, I'll pay for the Uber, I'll pay for the Grab, and they don't look at it as something that's highly emotional. A lot of guys use the ex as some sort of benchmark or a gold standard to compare anyone new against. I think it's very common, Rob, that people compare who they've been with before and see who's better and who's not better. But I think it's better, like I said, to get really clear on what you want. There's a ton of people out there, myself included in the past, that you're opportunist when it comes to partners. Most men in their early 20s, if she's hot, and I'll add hot to trot even, well then, yeah, then they'll let go of the fact that she's nagging or she's spoiled or she's bratty or she's this, because the attraction, sexual attraction, is so strong that they'll let go of those other parts. But if you really got in touch with what you want character-wise, right, you'd surprise yourself in that maybe you could set up some more standards so that when you get in a relationship, you're not settling or overcompensating or creating a situation where you're arguing all the time with someone you're just attracted to. Does that make sense? I've just dealt with someone like this in the live coaching. We got down to the bottom of it. It was good sex and it was high level of physical attraction. And he was like, oh, the connection was pretty good. No, it wasn't. You guys fought all the time. Oh, yeah, but she was really jealous. Well, that's not good. She never trusted me. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did she trust you? 0? Yeah, 0. What? That's not a long-term relationship. A lot of guys use the ex, okay, because a lot of girls see that as men just being a pickup artist hookup. Not all girls look at it that way, Alex D. They don't. Some women find it high value that a man's been with a few women before. It's an interesting dynamic, right? Men are actually more interested in knowing that a woman's been with less guys. I believe most women are less bothered by the fact if a guy's been with multiple women before them. And in fact, as nature law goes, it creates value. Now, if you're bragging, Alex D, about, girls that you've hooked up with and you got, pictures on the wall and you're being a dirtbag about it, no, that's different. But if a woman, like you run, let me give you an example, and I've had this happen to me before. You're dating someone and you run into a woman outside of, let's just say the mall, because we talked about that before, but I'm just saying at a coffee shop or on the street, and the girl's like, "What's up, Mac? How are you?" Gives you a big hug, and the girl you're dating you're just like, "Oh, this is so and so," and the girl's talking to you, and then afterwards, the girl you're dating goes, "Did you hook up with her? Did you sleep with her?" And I go, "Yeah, I've had this happen." I go, "Yeah, I have." I'm not fucking worried that, oh, are you a pickup artist? Oh, do you just, is that, if a woman came at me like that after someone on the street that's pretty attractive that I hooked up with before, and I don't need to share all the details with that. Yeah, you ask me a direct question, I'll give you a direct answer, right? Fine. But if you're going to give me shit about that, like, oh, I guess you've been with, that's a red flag for years to come, right? And the woman that I'm thinking about that this happened years back, she was cool with it because I was cool with it. I was like, yep, we did hook up. And I didn't make a big deal out of it. And when I met the girl, I said hello. I kept it short. I kept it sweet. And I didn't ignore the girl I was with. I introduced the two of them. It was fine. If I would have sat there and talked to her and exchanged a number and got all hunky-dory and, oh, yeah, that would be disrespectful. But I'm sure he'd be willing to drive the 3 hours if it was the other way around. Maybe not healthy. I don't know what that's in regards. She got drunk. I would not date a girl who can drink so much. Well, that's a whole nother morals and values thing. My point was, someone doesn't pick you up from the airport. This is why you should do a live coaching session with your breakups, because a lot of times you're hung up on things and you're just not looking at them from an aerial objective view. Right? Because I've literally had girlfriends before where I'm like, I'll pay for the Uber or I'll pay for the Grab. I don't want to drive to the airport right now. Does that mean I don't care about you? No, I don't want to sit in over an hour of traffic one way and come an hour back. And you can just, and also when you go to the airports, you know, some airports are a mess. Does that mean I don't care about you? No. If you're going to come in, and then a girl might say, well, I would pick you up no matter what. Well, that's your standards. I appreciate that. That doesn't mean I have to me, if I'm going to pay for the Uber and I'm going to be home when you get here or something like that, it's like, and you know, fine. Someone says, oh, you should pick them up. Yeah, that would be ideal. But let's say I worked all day or I'm tired and I don't want to I don't like driving over an hour in traffic or going through lights. So to me, it's not that big a sacrifice for you right off the plane to get a taxi and come straight home. Because you know why? For me, if you said, hey, I can't pick you up, go ahead and get a taxi. I'd say, yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it. Don't spend a bunch of time on the road, hon. Be safe. It'd be no sweat off my balls. And so what people don't understand is what they're doing is they're just saying, well, I would pick you up. Well, that's what you would do. That's grand. That's grand. And so if someone doesn't pick you up at the airport, now, if someone's drunk and being irresponsible, the next question, like I just said, is it a habit? Is it something they do regularly, or is it completely out of character and they made one mistake? And the time she picked up to get drunk, it's a red flag. Yes, it makes sense. Just like the dynamic, how some women are attracted to men that are married. Where did that come from? Rob, those girls have a lot of issues and interest. Oh, you're talking about as far, yeah. Here's an interesting thing about that, Rob. I'm just contemplating it a little bit. You work in a place and you get to a certain age, maybe late 20s, early 30s. A lot of the good catches, men and women, they have partners. They might not be happy. But a lot of them do. And the reason they are because they're good catches. Someone snagged them already. And so, especially in workplaces, someone comes in that's single, attractive, and they'll snag someone that's married. And the person that's married is not happy. And a lot of that comes from that. Women that target married men, that's an issue. Someone that falls for a married man by chance, it's not good. It's not ideal, but it happens a whole lot in workplaces because they mingle. There are a lot of people who ask too personal questions. And I would add this, married men probably, when they're around the women, don't overcompensate or don't try too hard because they're already married. And women find that attractive because they're more unavailable. There are a lot of people who ask too personal questions. What do you mean by that? Agree, Rob. But it is so awesome someone goes to the airport for you. I agree, May. I'm not saying to discount that part. I'm just saying it's not if you're in a long-term relationship, don't make a big fucking deal out of it. Especially when it's late at night with no traffic. Not pick them up for hours of the drive. Some place have a 2-hour drive to the airport, and so 4 hours. That's that's what I mean, Rob. That's why, for example, when someone goes, "Oh, this is why," when you hear information and you don't listen intently, like myself, and objectively, it's not the real story. Oh, she wouldn't pick me up from the airport, and this is not what happened, because I had an earlier session today, and this was one of the things that came up. This is not specific to this individual story. It's kind of a detour. But I'm saying someone would go, oh, for example, a woman's talking with her girlfriends. Oh, my God, Rick picked me up from the airport when I went to visit him. What an asshole. All the women. Oh, my God, what an asshole. Okay, let's let reason and logic come into play here. How far is the airport? Well, the airport's about 2 hours one way. Fuck, that's a long drive. So it's a 4-hour drive for old Rick. Oh, did Rick have work that day? Oh, yeah, Rick works on Fridays. He actually works a double shift, and he was just coming off, and he was working 15 hours. Oh shit. Well, Rick would be pretty tired to do a 4. You know what I mean? It's like there's circumstances involved in this shit. Now, if the guy doesn't work and the drive's 30 minutes away, yeah, maybe he should pick you up, right? If he doesn't, then he just tells. Maybe he goes, I don't like driving. I don't at night. Some people have told me this. I don't like driving at night specifically. My eyes aren't that bad. I just prefer not to if I don't have to. I'll do anything at least once. Yes, the wanting what you can't have theory. Oh, yeah. Rob, the thing is, a married man, and this happens in a workplace more often than not. You come across them, you guys rub elbows, you're attracted to each other, you're in the lunchroom, you're in different places, and then you have common ground because you have work. And then you become more and more attracted to each other, and the attraction brews and stews and brews and stews and brews and stews, because at the end of the day, you guys can keep building like a boiling pot. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, at the end of the Christmas party, come over here, I want to talk to you. And then it's curtains. We can make a deal. You go for me to the airport 2 times, and one will arrive in an Uber deal. Well, I mean, that's called negotiating. Sure. I'm actually in that situation now. I met a guy who's bartender. What's up, your entertainment city? Cali's finest. Strangest name on the live stream, but good people. I'm actually in that situation now. I met a guy who's bartender, who's married, and he sure as hell didn't act like it last night. Got my number and everything. Now having a few glasses of wine, realized, still texting me now. Yes, he is married. Laughed my ass off. And you are right. I think I'm more attracted to him because I know he's taken, but he's not shying away from me at all. Okay. Bottom line, he's a bartender, so he's mingling all the time. It's actually part of his job. Number 2, here's the crazy thing. There are open marriages. There are women that, and again, I'm not asking you to agree with this. I'm not the fucking moral police, okay? There's a few things that are unacceptable to me. Stealing, rape, and killing. Those are non-negotiable. Now, if they have a marriage and the woman says, I don't, again, we'll just use the name Rick, the bartender. I know what Rick does at his job, and I just don't want to know. Okay. You don't know the dynamics of that marriage. There's been a few people I've had that have been arranged marriages. There's been a few people, oh, you know what? We haven't slept together in a year. So if you want to, your entertainment city, and how did he get your number? Let me ask you that. Yes, I agree. Got to be logical and reasonable about that. And he told you he was married before or after you got his number? 2 questions. People ask 2 personal questions related to the story. When the guy asked you, did you sleep with her? That attractive girl passed when you were talking to that guy. I don't mind. Like I said, if a woman I'm dating asks me that, I won't be like, oh, that's personal, or a gentleman never tells. I mean, you're basically telling him, right? So in that situation, I will tell you, but careful what you wish for. Can you handle it? Because it was before we were together, and currently, yeah, I hooked up with him. You want details of what went down? Come on, right? And it's actually a test for the woman to see how she reacts, because she asked me that question, can you handle that information? If that woman said, oh my God, I can't believe she's so ugly, I'd be like, what? SB, I don't know. He's hot, and our personalities just match. But he's a bartender. I know he's a flirt. There you go. And you were drinking. Hey, this is the crazy thing about bars. Your entertainment city, Cali's finest. I believe you were in Diego for a bit. I'm not sure, but you're in the Bay now. The biggity Bay. Here's the thing about bars, and I've always. What's up, Patricia? Dark lighting and drinks, they add so much to attraction. Dark lighting. Think about bars. Have you ever been in a bar with bright fucking lights like the mall? Have you ever been in a bar that is lit up like, have you guys ever noticed offices with cubicles either have a lot of natural light or they have a lot of blue light, which is really bad for you, but they have a lot of bright white light or blue light, right? They light up the places, which keeps you awake. Bars, if you ever noticed, people probably don't notice because they're drunk. Red lights in there. There's some blue light. It's always dark lighting. People look a lot more attractive with dark lighting. If you ever been to a strip club, right? So anytime you're like, oh, Annie was cute, Annie was attractive. If you met someone in a bar, I'll tell you what, in the daylight, everyone looks different. You know, if you watch my 700 videos and some people go, oh shit, you look a little rough that day. You look, lighting's fucked up too. Not to mention I might, in the 3 years I've been on the mic or doing this, maybe I had a hangover, maybe I had a cold or something like that. Right. But lighting, and let's add something else to it. Many people don't go to the bar in the daylight. Right. And so I'm just saying that when you say, oh, I met someone who was really cute, we connected really good, and you met in the bar, I'm not discounting it. I'm just saying that the situation was on steroids because of the lighting and drinks. And so if you get outside of that element, and I've thought about this before, I've met in my earlier years of maybe liking to have a drink or two, going out for cocktails or these things. If you're around that person sober, you're kind of like, oh, maybe she wasn't as cute as I thought. Happens. He asked me for my number as soon as he saw me last night. Yes, I've gone to the bar months ago before I moved back. Now that I'm back in the Bay, he's making moves faster than the last time because I went MIA. Well, there you go. He knew you. He wanted to take a chance. And you know what? This is your own morals and values. And if you got down to it, you got to clear the path, machete out the jungle part, and just go straight into it. Your entertainment city. And you go like this. What's the situation with your marriage? Are you separated? You asked me for my number. I'm interested in you. You're interested in me. That's obvious. So what's the situation with your marriage? He was very aggressive last night. Okay, so me and my sis were sitting at the bar on our phone. So he goes, who are you texting? Why aren't you texting me? Then he starts showing me his Snapchat and grabs my phone, puts his info in. Yeah, but how do you know he's married? How do you know that? And did you know it before he gave me them? We're very good in you. I get you, Mac. Sometimes you have to say such a thing to people who are nosy. Like I said, I mean, if you don't want to answer the question, you just go, hey, that's none of your business, period. I agree. Dim lighting makes a difference. That's an understatement, hon. It's an understatement. It's like, you making YouTube videos and going on the mic like this. It's like we have individuals out there making other videos in the same genre of breakup coaching and this that don't go on camera. And they're the most critical of other people, surprisingly. Takes time to know what's going on in someone's life, and sometimes you never find out. Yeah, it takes time, but you do have a right to ask questions. You do want to get to know each other in front. If you're if you're entertaining an idea like your entertainment city, um, then you need to ask up front, like, are you guys separated or what's going on? I'm gonna, I like you, but I need to know because you get involved with someone married, and that ex gets pissed off. It's a different dynamic. I had a ring on my wedding finger, even though I'm not married. And he goes, "Oh, so you're married? You are a mama?" I go, "No, not yet." He's all, "Oh, I'm married, but hey, that's life, right?" Winks and walks down the bar too, help another customer. He's like flirting his way in. So was he joking when he said he's married or what? Ugh, this kombucha. Kombucha is like a coffee, man. Puts you on deck. Let's hope they can be honest. Your entertainment city, you ask yourself what you're looking for, hun. Why would you wear a wedding ring on your wedding finger? What's that? To keep them away from you? I'm just curious when you said that. All right, folks, we got 10 on deck. We're at 51 minutes, 8 likes. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. The topic today was, does the cold approach work in dating? What's a cold approach? What's an alternative in dating apps? Do men use a cold approach? So if anyone's just come on that wasn't on earlier, please chime in on that. Do you use a cold approach when you approach men or women, or vice versa? A man who's jealous, it's not in his masculine enlightenment, needs a lot of work on himself. Thanks, Patricia. Hit the like button if you like it. A man who is jealous, it's not masculine enlightenment. There's some guys that consider themselves highly masculine, but also consider themselves highly jealous. And for some reason, they think it's, I've talked to them before in coaching and I've known them, well, that's just how I am. Or I think they believe that women like that. And that comes from their father being that way. And it comes from an attitude that they might have been in a relationship, and there's some women out there that likes a man that acts jealous. Those women usually had parents where they had one parent that was jealous, and they somehow create jealous situations and drama because they believe that's what couples that care do. They consider it a sign of caring, actually. No, not joking at all, because then I asked the other girl bartender who's cool, is he seriously married? She's like, yes, girl, and shows me his wife and an Instagram and is like, he does what he wants. Well, then you need to get to the bottom of what does that mean? What is the alternate to dating apps? Scotty Fitzgerald, I'll flip the question on you. So the cold approach is one, right? Going up to someone that you feel like you're attracted to and just spit in your game, old school, right? Hey, I'm Scotty Fitzgerald. What's your name? Are you ready to play? Right? It's hard to meet people in a real world. So many people are disconnected from reality, meeting on their phones all the time. I agree. One of the biggest values I have in doing a live coaching session, Scott, and I'll tell you the truth, is I can have an intense conversation, engaged fully, right? I'm not checking my phone. If for some reason my phone goes off in a live coaching, which is highly rare, you might be saying, why don't you just turn it off? I don't get a lot of calls on my phone. If I do that and there's something going on, my dad's, was in the hospital a while back or something, I say, excuse me. But I just had one right now, someone scheduled for an hour. They regularly go 2 to 3 hours. And I'll tell you why, because it's really hard to have someone listen to you for that long. And it's really therapeutic. Now, hard to meet people in the real world. You got to look at where you're meeting them, Scott. Right? Where are you meeting them? Those women who like jealous men use men's jealousy to control men. Being jealous makes you weak and easy to be manipulated. Good point, Sabina. Good point. Good point. I would agree. But I'm just saying, sometimes guys look at it and they're like, they almost look at it like it's part of being a man or manhood. But then women that are like that, jealousy comes from somewhere. It's Someone said it was human nature. In relationships, I believe that there's always a form of jealousy. Yes. But the elevation of jealousy where you are looking for things that don't warrant that, or you are creating big problems over, it's just a recipe for a toxic relationship. Actually, that makes a lot of sense, Sabrina. Some people just want to chat on dating apps, then texting sometimes they are not interested in meeting at all. Yeah, my mom goes, you lose them how you get them, which hits differently today. You lose them how you get them. That's really interesting. Well, how you do one thing is how you do everything is one saying that I like. And I don't think it's 100% true, but it's probably 80% true. It's like being a teacher for years. You know, the students that have the highest GPA, and the interesting thing of being a teacher for years and having the last 5 years, I've had over 200 students a term. I don't talk about this a lot, but when I say top students, I'm just saying top GPA, and that's how they get measured, right? That's the one thing I hate about school is giving grades, really. But the students that get the highest grades, they usually deserve them. They're the most organized. They get their work done on time. They actually, in some weird way, enjoy doing the work. They ask more questions. And here's the crazy part. They usually always sit in the front row or second row in the middle. Now, why would they do that? Like if I had a case study on students doing well, people would say, oh, yeah, they're probably more organized. They're probably more on time. They do their work on time. They ask good questions. You probably say, oh, that lines up. And then when I say they always sit in the front row or the second row in the center, why would that be? Full disclosure, I used to sit in the back rows a lot of times because I used to like to talk. But the reason that they do that, they look for someone that's a top student, looks for every advantage. Sitting in the front row enables you to listen better, ask more questions, get the teacher's attention. So I'll give you an example. So they do everything they can to inch 10% better, 10% better. And here's really an interesting thing. The Lakers teams of the 80s. I don't know if I always use basketball, but Pat Riley takes over the team. He's the coach. He goes, look, I want everyone to be 10% better this year, right? I want you to, if you shot 100 shots a day in practice, I want you to shoot 150. So just do the little things to improve. Now, where am I going with this? This is going to be interesting to a lot of you. This is going to surprise you. Sabina, I don't think you have this problem. Rob, I don't think so. A lot of people, when they get out of a breakup, feel like they're not as attractive. Groundbreaking statement? Fuck no. It's just an assessment from talking to a lot of people. And it's like, I just don't feel attractive. You know, they got broken up with, or they've had a series of tarnished relationships, what have you. A lot of times people in long-term relationships let themselves go. They get a little hefty. They stop getting their hair cut. They do all kinds of things. Now, here's the interesting thing. And I didn't really know this before dealing with so many people over the last years of my life in my 30s. The people that, let's just say society overall says that's a really good looking woman or that's a really good looking man. And, you know, attraction's fleeting. Someone can be attracted to an individual that I don't think is attractive at all. And someone could be attracted, you know, it's different for everyone. But there are a certain upper echelon of people where you're like, everyone, you know, 70 to 80% of people are going to go, yeah, that one, she's really hot. Okay. Now, those people, correct me if I'm wrong, they put in a lot of work on looking good. It's not, there is some natural beauty out there and whatnot. I've never, it's like Beyonce. I think she's a beautiful woman. I've never seen her without her makeup or without Photoshop and all those other things. So I don't really know. But I would venture to say she puts a lot of work in looking good, right? If she slacked and said, well, I'm just going to wear sweats all the time and I'm not really going to care about doing my hair and I won't do my makeup, I bet she would drop down a few points, right? Looking your best takes your attention, takes a little bit of work. And so sometimes people, I'm like, attraction's your issue? I go, well, okay, go talk to a friend of yours that's really good with fashion, buy yourself some new clothes, look at a new style, maybe explore the idea of facial hair if you haven't had that, whatever. But don't keep doing the same things, right? But looks, you can improve. Another one, financials. Oh, I don't have any money. I'm not doing really well. People that I know that make a lot of money, don't have a lot of money, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of money that have trust funds or mom and dad, which I don't have a problem with. Set them up. Okay, fine, good for them. And for them to keep that wealth, they have to do some work. But those people that work their ass off for their money, they do the little things. They work harder at it. They put more attention on it. It ain't fucking luck. The people, they got lucky. They hit a stock or they did it. No. They put in a little extra work on it. Okay. I would think dance class is a great place to meet someone singles in dance class. Yeah. Yoga, I say group classes where people are trying to better themselves or learn something. Yes, great places to meet people. People who sit in front of the front row are more engaged. Absolutely, Scott. What I'm saying is, why are they choosing to sit in the front row? Because they're looking for every opportunity to be a top student. And they identify with the idea of like, any advantage I can get, I'm going to take. I am planning a few months move to west from your city. You live in a very nice city. Okay, I don't know what that's in regards to. Maybe England. I know I'd have a fully guilty conscience if I go any further than just flirting with him. Well, then stop. Stop wasting your time. Stop teasing yourself. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, coach. I thought Gal Gadot was hot until she sang Imagine the other day. I don't know who that is. I'm not familiar with that, so I can't elaborate. I'm taking a photography class at a local community college, and I wanted a cold approach a girl there, but it sucks that school has been canceled because of the virus. The girl actually went to the same high school as me. Well, put that plan of attack on the shelf, but shit happens, and right now with this whole coronavirus, this is a time to double down on being as healthy as you can possibly be. Oh, I can't leave the house. Go on YouTube and figure out a workout plan. Don't be a victim. Not you, Alex, but everyone. I don't think you should overdo it looking fake. But yes, I agree. Keep neatly groomed and smelling great too. I'm not suggesting that people look overly fake, and I'm not a fan of too much makeup. Okay. I'm just saying people that look good, or someone goes, oh, she's good looking or he's good looking, they put some work into it. They put some time into it. Are there some people born that way? Yeah, very small percentage. The website has do you like being side girl to him? I get that. Everyone has different needs. Maybe you don't want a man who gives you that relationship commitment. Again, everyone's different. The website has meetup.com, has lots of meetups that are useful. Meetup with girls to boys. I don't know. I just like wearing a ring on that finger. Good conversation starter. Okay. You might be eliminating a lot of good guys, though. There's got to be a reason. So you'll say, oh, I'm not really married. Just looking for where I put my phone after I said all that. We're up on an hour, folks. And I have, I think, 24 hours to put up a beach video. So I got to do that this afternoon. Any closing questions, as I like to say in my live coaching sessions, that usually when I say that go on another 30 minutes. Any closing questions or topics for the next live stream? I will be on deck tomorrow. I do promise. And I might be on tonight later on because I know a lot of people are at home. I know a lot of people are looking for content outside of the virus. Well, I'm not the side chick, but right now we're just having fun. Take it easy, coach. Thanks, Patricia. I appreciate you, hon. Hour and 5 minutes, 11 on deck, 9 likes. I appreciate it. Mok, as they say in Thailand, which means more. Mok. It's raining now in California, coach. Well, I like the rain, huh? It cleans things. Maybe that's a good thing. Ooh, little lemon kombucha. Stay safe, everybody. I'll be home in isolation with my pups. At least you got your pups, hon. I would say for people right now, if you're in isolation, you're going through it, this is when a lot of people write books, put together game plans. I mean, you look back at some of the greatest leaders. When I say greatest, I don't mean I agree with them and who they were, but people that have gone up, a lot of them wrote their books in isolation or in jail. Or came up with a manifesto or a plan to move forward. And I would say, if you're isolated right now, you don't got much to do. Sabina, I love it. Thank you so much. It isn't 1,500, hon. You're correct, 100%. I'm just trying to be useful. I'm just trying to give you a useful task. And I'm projecting that I need to be writing my book right now. So you're 100% correct, hon. It's not 1,500. We have internet. I know. Is that a good thing? Good question, huh? Well, it's curtains on that one, folks.